I'm Victoria Welsby, TEDx speaker, best-selling author and fat activist. I have transformed my life from hating my body with desperately low self-esteem to being a courageous and confident, fierce fatty who loves every inch of this jelly. Society teaches us living in a fat body is bad, but what if we spent less time, money and energy on the pursuit of thinness and instead focused on the things that actually matter, like if pineapple on pizza should be outlawed or if the mullet was the greatest haircut of the 20th century. So, how do you stop negative beliefs about your fat body controlling your life? It's the Fierce Fatty Podcast. Let's begin. Hello, welcome to this episode, Fatty. How are you doing? I'm doing good. Are you doing good? Are you alright? I'm alright. Hey, it's snowing here in Vancouver. So exciting. I've not seen any snow this year yet. Settled snow. Don't think it's going to settle though. Well, it's minus one, so maybe. I don't know. We'll see. It looks pretty nice out my window though. Yeah, so this morning I did a podcast. I was a guest on a podcast, the 88 podcast. You ever listen to it? Have you ever listened to it? Two British people having a chinwag about this stuff. It's Sarah and Ella. You can find Ella at Fat Girl Fashion Inspo and Sarah at Sarah Brown Design. And I am obsessed with their fashion sense. Like, this makes me so jealous. I'm jealous of their fashion sense. I want them to come around and like style me. Wouldn't that be cool? Like, do you want to do that? Like, have someone come around and style you? Is that just me? Like, I want people to buy me clothes and be like, put this on, you look amazing, done. I think loads of people want that, right? Not that that's not their job. I'm just like, I want to look like you. I want to dress like you. So, yeah. Hey, I got a new webcam for those watching on YouTube. You know what? I don't think it's that good. For fuck's sake. But it's better than the camera that's in the MacBook Air. Maybe I'll have to get a fancy one. Maybe I'm going to have to spend more than $30 on a freaking camera. Or, as Sarah suggested to me, I could use my phone to record. And then I can put my mic into the phone. Because I've got an adapter. So, that is what I might do. That's probably a good idea. Because our phone cameras, right, are so fucking good. You know, instead of me buying another stupid thingamajiggy on the tinternetweb.com. Thank you for your reviews. I so appreciate them. Hey, if you're feeling in the spirit, why not leave me a review on iTunes or wherever you're listening. If you're listening on Spotify, I don't think you can leave a review, but wherever you're listening, why don't you leave a review if you're feeling in the mood. Here's a couple that I got recently. First one from Friday Cab, but it's spelled Friday, D-A-E Cab. Or, as I read it, Frida E-Cab. One of the two. Do you know what I realised recently? Do you know that brand? Fabletics. Fabletics. I always thought it was Fabletics. When no one telling me that it's not Fabletics? I haven't bought anything from it. I think it's like a subscription thing. But why is it that I'm always pronouncing things incorrectly? Fabletics, that Fabletics. So anyway, Friday Cab, 5 stars. Desperately needed this. I'm a little late to the party, but I'm obsessed. Your voice is so soothing and hits all the topics I've always needed to hear. You've helped me change my feeling towards my beautiful fat body. Heart. Well, thank you. I'm so pleased. Okay, next, Ankoch. Amazing podcast, 5 stars. I love Victoria's podcast. It's so interesting to hear her talk about diet culture and its relationship to social justice and politics. Plus, Victoria's humour is on point. Always a go-to podcast when I need to pick me up body-wise and help me feel empowered. Another heart emoji. Thank you. And Matthew Beef Jerky. Love the username. Very, very good stuff. I loved listening to Victoria. This podcast makes me smile and has become my go-to when I need a reminder of what's important. Hint, it's being fierce in whatever you do and not letting hang-ups with body image trip you up. Amazing, thank you. Hey, so if you want to leave a review, that would make my brain very happy, and it means that more people can discover the podcast. And people need more fatty stuff in their life, right? So this episode, I wanted to talk about how to dismantle fat phobia through body love. And this is something I've been thinking about. I was a chinwag. I was chatting with one of my coaches yesterday, one of my business coaches, and talking about this topic about how sometimes, so I love talking about two things. I love talking about how you can learn to love your body, and also how the world is fat phobic and fucked up, and how that's kind of something that we need to change. It's not something we need to change. And so often what I see is that people on the internet webs, some humans say, hey, focusing on learning to love your body is silly. They don't use that word silly. I'm just paraphrasing. It's unnecessary. It's irrelevant. It's not important when we have more important things to worry about, which is systemic, institutional, and structural fat phobia. So we need to get rid of societal fat phobia. That is what we need to be focusing on. But I say, hey. Yes, of course, we need to advocate for changes at a larger level, and it's something that I talk about a lot. But also, to be able to do that effectively, it would be very helpful if you were coming at it from a place of body acceptance, even body love. Because how can you truly advocate for changes at a larger level as effectively if you think that your own body is bad? Learning that your own body is good will help you deal with structural fat phobia better. And it means when you experience it, you will potentially less harmed by it. Versus, if you're trying to fight something and you're kind of halfway in the race, you're not going to be as effective, right? Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? Hey, it's Victoria here from the future, 2 weeks in the future. I just wanted to add something here that, watching back, I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm making this really explicit, but learning to love your body is not going to stop fat phobia. Learning to love your body is not going to stop the world being fat phobic. Loving your body is not going to make doctors treat you better. It's not going to make seats fit you. It's not going to end systemic fat phobia. But if you're at a place where you are agreeing with fat phobia, if you're like, yeah, it is fucking horrible to be fat, it's a bad thing to be fat people should be shamed, fat people deserve the consequences of being fat in society, then if you are believing that about fat people, then it's going to be very hard to dismantle fat phobia. So if you are learning to love and accept your body, learning to dismantle your own fat phobia, then you'll be in a better position to be able to dismantle systemic fat phobia. Because you don't believe that it's a bad thing to be fat. You don't believe that fat people deserve to be treated like shit. You believe that your body and all fat bodies deserve equal treatment, are equally good as any other body out there. So I just wanted to pop in with that, I was like, I'm not sure if I explicitly said, hey, by the way, loving your body doesn't stop systemic fat phobia. But dealing with systemic fat phobia, if you don't agree with fat phobia, is a lot easier. And obviously there's the downside of being like, you know, you've seen the light and now you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, fat phobia is everywhere. And it's kind of nice to be... it's nice to not see it, right, as much as when you're educated about fat phobia, because then you're like, it's everywhere. So there's downsides and there's upsides, but doing this work of being activists in whatever way, shape or form that happens is easier if you don't agree with the bigotry. And also, when you do experience systemic fat phobia, instead of interpreting that as evidence that your body is not okay, if you are doing the work, have done the work, when you experience that stuff, that comes up as evidence to prove that society is not okay. And so you're able to not internalize those messages as much. And, it is that society is not okay. It's not about our bodies. It's about society. And so, if you're equipped with a different view about your body, that it might be okay, then instead of internalizing those really harmful messages, you're able to say, okay, this is not evidence that my body is bad. This is evidence that society needs to change, not my body that needs to change. Here, I thought of an analogy to show you what I mean when I'm talking about this. So, I watched this film the other day, Blades of Glory. Will Ferrell. It's like from the 2007. That was very hard to say. 2007. So, spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you a vague idea of the plot, but I'm sure you can get an idea of the plot from the trailer. How this is kind of like this. This is what I'm talking about. So, in Blades of Glory, it's a comedy film, right? Will Ferrell and John Heder. John Heder played Napoleon Dynamite. Amazing film. So, Will Ferrell plays Chaz Michael Michaels, a skillful skater but raunchy sex addict. This is, I'm reading from Wikipedia. And Jimmy McElroy, which is Napoleon Dynamite, an equally talented but sheltered skater, and they tie for gold. They're ice skaters. Ice skater, is that the right word? Yeah, ice skater? Yeah. So they tie for gold. From the start, the two skaters are clear polar opposites with different backgrounds. Chaz grew up on the streets and is a self-taught skater, while Jimmy was adopted by Darren McElroy, a wealthy man who adopts children showing exceptional athletic ability. While standing on the awards podium after both skaters tie for gold, the two have an argument that escalates into a fight and ends with the World Games mascot being accidentally set on fire. As a result, the National Figure Skating Association strips both men of their medals and bans them for competitive skating for life. Oh, I'm so sad. So they have a fight because they're so different. Will Ferrell is like this obnoxious, like, hey, and Napoleon Dynamite is more kind of like leave me alone, and kind of whiny. And so they're opposites, and they both think they're the best, and then they both lose everything. And 3 years later, the ex-coach realizes, this is me speaking, realizes there's a loophole and they can compete together as a men's double, and there's no rule that they can't do that. And so they kind of get together because they both have this common goal. But it's a disaster because they don't like each other, and they're opposites, but it's only when they learn to respect each other that they can compete and win. And so on their own, they stood less of a chance. Together, even, they stood less of a chance when they didn't respect each other. And they didn't have to be the same, they didn't have to like each other, but when they respected each other, they were then able to go on and win, right? So this is like the plot of so many different films, right? Two people who don't like each other come together, they learn to like each other, and then they're like, at the end, actually, you're pretty cool, and everyone wins the day, right? And it's the same with that war that you have on your body. You don't have to be like, oh my God, my body is the best fucking thing ever. But if you're actively hating it, how are you meant to come together and fight and win this common goal, achieve this common goal together? If you're like, I'm trying to advocate for other people to, and for me, for society to not treat us badly, but I'm going to treat myself badly. Everyone else's fat body is good, but not mine, because I'm really fucking horrible and disgusting and blah, blah, blah. Even if you can't get to the place where you think, oh, I'm pretty cool, if you can just accept and respect your body, that would mean that you would be way more effective at achieving your goals. And not only that, it's everything in life, right? So this is what folks can be experiencing when they're not at peace with their body. And so maybe you might, what's the word? Recognize any of this? Lord. So this is what it's like when you're not at peace with your body. So getting dressed in the morning, noticing their body in the mirror and feeling disgust and wish they could just be thinner. Picking out clothes in the wardrobe that are black and baggy to cover up their belly and hope it slims them down, camouflages them. So people are like, oh, since you're wearing black, oh my God, are you a size 10? Oh, you're so thin. All day adjusting their clothes to make sure that they are disguising any lumps or bumps, their bum or their belly. When having conversations with others, they're not fully present as they worry what they look like and fidget with their outfit. They are in their head instead of being fully there for life. Like a cloud is following them all day long. Sometimes they forget about the cloud, but then they're reminded, and it ruins things for them. It ruins their day, their week. Even if they temporarily feel good, then something will trigger them to remind them that they shouldn't. So maybe seeing themselves in a mirror or watching shows with loads of thin people. They might feel good because they've put on a new outfit or whatever. And at home they feel good, but then they go out and they catch their reflection and they're like, oh, actually I don't. And it kind of just ruins everything and kind of sours the day. Which sucks. So that is kind of what it's like. And a lot of people are like, yep. And me, I'm like, yep, I recognize all of that stuff. And the reasons that people experience that is because they genuinely, honestly believe that their body is unattractive and should be hidden or made smaller. Like deep down, they think that, they believe that. Like intellectually, they know that it maybe is not true, but deep down they believe that their body is not good. And this is because they haven't challenged their internalized fat phobia. They know that dieting doesn't work for them, but they just can't stop daydreaming about the idea of how much easier things would be if they lost weight and they were straight-sized. And technically, they can lose weight, right? But at what cost? Technically, we could all stop eating and become thin temporarily, but it would kill us in the process. It would really damage our mental and physical health. So kind of like the options are kill yourself to try and become small in the hopes that you might appreciate your body, or overcome that false belief that you're holding on to, that your body is not okay. And, both are difficult, right? I'm not going to say like, just learn to love your body, just snap your fingers and it's done. Easy peasy, lemon and lime. No, it takes learning a lot of bullshit. So what to do instead? So what to do instead is I think, focus on your own internalized fat phobia first, alongside, trying to dismantle, the bigger systems at play. And then you're going to be more able to do that work, right? So it's like, the old adage, the old example of, on the airplane, they say, put your mask on first before helping others. Because if you can't breathe, then what help are you going to be to other people? If you can't breathe, then what help are you going to be to other people? If you put your mask on first and you have oxygen, then you're able to help all of those around you, help society at large. But if you can't, then it's kind of like stumbling at the first hurdle. And of course, you can still, but imagine if you took a deep breath and you had all the oxygen you needed, you'll be able to do those tasks a lot better than if you had just one lung of oxygen instead of 2 lungs of oxygen. Right? So what could it look like? What could it look like if you did take that deep breath, if you did look after yourself first and work on your own internalized fat phobia? Well, what it could look like. So here's an example. So for someone, what is it like for someone who is at peace with their body? So here's an example. When noticing their body in the mirror, they think nothing. Or on some days, they'll be like, oh, hey, good looking. Or maybe, very infrequently, they might be like, eh. Their wardrobe is filled with bright colors or outfits that bring them joy and are authentically them, and they can pick out something with ease and not have to, put it on and be like, meh, or put it on and then put something else on and still be like, meh. They're able to walk into any room and not worry what people may or may not be thinking, and instead are able to engage with folks fully, not once having to waste time covering themselves, or adjusting their clothes, or feeling shame. And they have so much more mental and physical energy to do things that make them happy. How much is that taking up of your life? How much was it taking up of my life? Like, so much. So they'll feel at home in their body. They are able to accept it as it is without losing weight. They know things would be easier if they were smaller because society is fucked up. But they realize it's an issue with society and not an issue with them. Let me repeat that. They know things would be easier in life if they were smaller, but they realize it is an issue with society and not an issue with them. And they deep down feel that, like, Intellectually we can feel that, but then deep down you're like, yeah, but I just want to be thinner. But they just like, you know what, it's just fucked up that I ever thought that, and I'm so pleased I'm not thinking like that anymore. Nothing will convince them that their body is wrong, and because of that they are able to do things like wear a bikini and not give a shit, ask for a pay rise, get the number of that hot person at the bar, strut down the street knowing they're looking good, just getting on with life and not having this feeling that but if only I just don't look good. I just don't look good. So carrying on with that, a year from now, someone who is starting that and carrying on with that journey of being friends with themselves, or friends with their bodies, they're going to get to a place where they're spending hardly any time thinking of their body. And if they are, they're probably thinking, I look pretty cool. I look pretty cool today. Or thinking, oh, maybe I should brush my hair. You know, like for me, I will like hardly ever look in mirrors. And then, you know, maybe I'll look and I'll be like, oh, yeah, maybe I should, you know, my hair might be a little bit wonky today or whatever. Or like, oh, that looks good, you know. So they're able to focus on things that actually matter, like spending time with their kids or standing up for what they want at work, in relationships, having sex that is good. Instead of having to fake like 50 orgasms and being like, oh my God, because, you know, you don't feel good. All without the cloud of body shame hanging over them. Going to the doctor and advocating for themselves, engaging in self-care, being an activist or not, and just getting on with life. So learning to love and accept your body is political. It's not something that's silly or irrelevant or not serious. It is very serious. It is life-giving. It is life-saving. And don't feel like it is not, that if you're trying to focus on this stuff, that you're not doing the good work. Because you're doing the good work, you're doing the work, and you are changing society. You are changing society. Imagine if all of the fatties in the world one day just woke up and decided, you know what? I'm pretty fucking cool. Do you know what? There is nothing wrong with my body. Do you know what? I don't need to diet. What could happen? What would happen? Well, it's not going to erase fat phobia, because it's not just fat people who are fat phobic, right? But it would be super, super powerful and a step in the direction of changing the world. And saying that, it's not your job as a fat person to stop fat phobia, right? It is not the job of the oppressed to stop the oppression. It's the job of those who's doing the oppression to get their shit together, right? But if you want to feel better in your body, you're, you know, kind of like one of the side effects is that it's reducing fat phobia. It's reducing fat phobia in your own brain. And those around you are going to kind of learn just by, you know, it's like a side effect, you know, not necessarily meaning to, but they'll start to pick up that, hey, it's not okay to shame people because of their size, and hey, maybe I shouldn't be shaming myself because of my size. So yeah. So that's what I've got. That is what I have got to say about how to dismantle fat phobia through body love. So do it. You can do it. And it's important stuff, right? So, yeah. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed this pep talk. I've enjoyed this episode. And I'll see you in the next one. Have an amazing rest of your day. And I will see you in a while, alligator. Okay, bye. for listening to the episode. And if you feel ready to get serious about this work and want to know when the doors open to Fierce Fatty Academy, which is my signature program where I teach all about how to overcome your fatphobic beliefs and learn to love your fat body, then go to fiercefatty.com/waitlist. Again, that is fiercefatty.com/waitlist to get your name on the waitlist for when Fierce Fatty Academy, my signature program, opens.